My sister sabotaged my wedding, and now, with her struggles to conceive, my parents want her to share my baby. As background, my sister Pam, 30, persuaded our parents and some family members not to attend my wedding. She believed it was inappropriate for me to marry while she was going through a divorce. She resorted to lying and spreading rumors to keep people away because the truth alone wasn't enough to turn them against me. My spouse and I recently shared on social media that I am currently in my second trimester of pregnancy. I am 27. My parents and Pam learned about it this way, and after not speaking for over 3 years, they tried to reconnect. Pam is sadly unable to conceive due to infertility, and despite multiple failed IVF cycles, she is determined to try again. She does not believe surrogacy or adoption are suitable options at this time. Since I am expecting, my parents thought it would be beneficial to reconcile with Pam so she could spend time with a child not directly related to her. They even suggested that the child have 2 mothers, claiming this would help me as I would receive additional assistance. In reality, my parents mostly want to maintain the appearance of a happy family now that Pam cannot have children of her own. During the call, I could sense their insincere politeness. I told them I would not accept the idea and that it was completely irrational to expect me to comply. Honestly, it was absurd that they thought I would consider allowing Pam to act as the mother of my future child. I clarified that they should have approached me not because I was expecting a baby and they wanted to give Pam a plaything, but because they genuinely loved me and were remorseful for how they had treated me. They took offense at this, insisting that Pam was volunteering to help with her future niece or nephew, and that they were simply offering assistance because they knew I would need help once the baby was born. They claimed I was being too harsh and that their intentions were perfectly innocent. I responded that my husband and in-laws were already providing all the support I needed as the mother, and they should continue keeping their distance if it had been easy for them in the past. At this point, I may have gone too far. I suggested that Pam might be unable to conceive because she is a terrible person and would not make a good mother. Following that call, my parents, a few family members, and Pam herself bombarded me with texts demanding that I apologize. They argued that my words were unnecessary and cruel, claiming I shouldn't kick someone when they are already down. They said the issue was that I clearly remembered every event leading up to my wedding and harbored deep resentment toward Pam for her actions. I find it difficult to feel guilty for what I said. To put things in perspective, while I was organizing my wedding, Pam had been married for 2 years. She and her ex-husband had dated for 3. She was fully aware of his desire to remain childless. When discussing their future after a year of dating, she brought up children to our parents, even in my presence, and the conversation continued as if I weren't there. Even as children, Pam and I never got along. She was always the favored daughter, and though we quarreled often, we eventually learned to ignore each other. She knew she wanted children in the future, even if she told our parents her ex wanted to remain childless. Eventually, they agreed to revisit the subject after marriage, hoping he would change his mind. She tried to persuade him to have children, but he refused, leading to frequent arguments. She often appeared distraught at family gatherings, lamenting how difficult it was to live with him. In my opinion, choosing to marry a man who had made it clear he did not want children was her responsibility, and she had no right to blame him for her inability to conceive naturally. I kept this to myself to avoid further problems. My parents later informed me that Pam had moved back in with them permanently after a heated argument with her husband. At this point, my spouse and I had just begun making deposits for our wedding after almost 4 years of dating and being engaged for a few months. My parents urged me to postpone my wedding indefinitely because Pam was divorcing. They argued I should delay to spare her feelings, claiming she already had difficulties pursuing motherhood. I found this to be the most absurd and inconsiderate suggestion I had ever heard. I made it clear that I would not delay my wedding, regardless of Pam's opinion. Since we were never close, her approval was irrelevant. My parents were upset that I refused to prioritize their favorite daughter's feelings over my own plans. They warned they would not attend if I went forward. I understood they had a soft spot for Pam, but I never imagined they would go so far, which was deeply upsetting and devastating. Nevertheless, I accepted it and told them they could do as they pleased. Pam, however, was not satisfied. She didn't like that I was getting married, so she ensured the rest of the family stayed away. Initially, She claimed it was rude to marry while she was experiencing a difficult period, and though most people sympathized with her, they did not explicitly refuse to attend. She escalated matters by spreading false stories about me because the truth alone wasn't enough. She accused me of persuading her husband to divorce her out of envy and jealousy over her having a child before me. I had never been friends with her spouse, making these allegations absurd. For some reason, people began to believe her, even as she claimed I was manipulating him to leave her and responsible for his lack of desire for children. Pam claimed she had persuaded her husband that having no children was the right choice for our generation, but it was all false. I assumed she lied so convincingly that others began to believe her, even though I had barely interacted with my brother-in-law during their marriage. Many people declined my wedding invitations, though a few supportive cousins and family members explained Pam's comments, so I was not surprised. No one gave me a detailed explanation for their refusal. Only a handful of relatives and some friends from my side attended. Everyone else who came was either a friend or co-worker of the bride. The attendance was dismally low. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, I remember feeling furious. Many had already made up their minds, and some had even blocked me. I knew I could have tried to speak to them honestly, but I didn't, since it would have been my word against hers. Fortunately, my spouse, friends, and in-laws were there to support me, and they ensured I enjoyed myself so much that I hardly noticed the absence of many family members. Despite having a good time on my wedding day, I have not forgiven Pam for her actions. She was vengeful and malicious, making sure I wasn't happy simply because she didn't get her way, a pattern typical of her since childhood. Most people outgrow such habits by their late 20s, but regretfully, I cannot say the same for her. After that incident, I completely cut off Pam and my parents, and my resentment only deepened. I saw Pam's ex-husband for the first time since their divorce about a year later. While out to lunch with my husband, we noticed him dining with coworkers. We did not expect him to approach, so the encounter was slightly awkward, but he congratulated us on our wedding and explained he had not attended because of my sister's situation. We were courteous, and my husband even joked that he might as well have come since Pam had not shown up, which left him visibly perplexed. We then discussed the events leading up to the wedding. He explained how Pam had repeatedly postponed mediation sessions and delayed the divorce, claiming she was too busy preparing for my wedding. When he discovered she had not actually been attending to the wedding plans, he was surprised, but he had avoided confronting her to prevent accusations that she was deliberately postponing the divorce. He calmly managed the situation as best he could. After hearing his account, including Pam missing the wedding, spreading false information about me, and accusing me of trying to end her marriage, we learned the real cause of their split was much deeper than a disagreement over having children. After months of arguments about whether to have children, he was beginning to consider her perspective. On the day he decided to discuss it with her, she appeared ecstatic when he expressed willingness to consider parenthood. She then, in what she claimed was a joke, revealed she had secretly stopped taking her birth control pills without his knowledge, effectively forcing the issue. He could not accept this deceitful plan. She had manipulated everyone into believing their arguments were about children, when in reality, the dispute had centered on her betrayal. Although she tried to make it seem lighthearted, her actions were serious. She had attempted to coerce him into an unwanted pregnancy. My husband and I finally understood why she had behaved so erratically around the time of our wedding. Pam knew she was responsible for her divorce. She could have avoided this entire mess and might even have had a child with her spouse, but she ruined everything for herself before taking out her frustration on me. Learning this increased my resentment toward her. I could have told my parents and other family members the truth, but I chose not to. By that point, I had already severed ties with those who hadn't attended my wedding and simply wanted to move forward with my life. I do not feel guilty for what I said because I genuinely despise her. I think it is fortunate that she has been unable to have children, as someone with her personality would not be a good mother. The fact that she and my parents only contacted me because I am pregnant and they want to pretend to be a happy family with my unborn child is infuriating, and that will not happen. Regarding the idea of my child having two mothers, I agree with my in-laws and my spouse that it is unnecessary. People's reactions to my comments, especially from those I am close to, are the only reason I feel even slightly unsure. Am I the jerk for suggesting that my sister might not be a good mother, which could explain why she has not been able to conceive? To my knowledge, Pam has not remarried and is not currently seeing anyone. While I do not know many details about her personal life, I have learned from friends and family that she is completely unmarried and her primary focus is having children. You can likely guess why she is not interested in adoption or surrogacy. She believes a child is not truly hers unless she gives birth. She has been trying for over 3 years, including attempts with her spouse and using donors for IVF after their divorce, but nothing has worked. Most people would have considered other options by now, but she is determined, and that is her choice. What truly strikes me as odd is that she and my parents only attempted to reconcile after learning about my pregnancy. The remark about 2 mothers particularly stuck with me, as did their unusual timing and motivation for reaching out. The fact that this baby would be linked to her by blood is unsettling. Technically, my child is her blood relative because she is my biological sister. However, bringing it up while trying to reconcile feels strange, and their suggestion gave off a disturbing, almost baby stealer vibe. I am afraid she would begin projecting herself as the mother if I attempted to forgive her or allowed her contact with my child, and I cannot let that happen. Some people have asked why I have not defended myself in front of the rest of the family or revealed the true cause of her divorce. Honestly, I do not think it is worth it. I became aware of who my true friends and supporters were after the wedding, and everything that happened deeply hurt me. Even though I wanted to tell the truth, I chose to remain silent and be left alone. A few family members I get along with have commented that I was a bit harsh when I told Pam she could not have children. While they do not expect me to apologize, they believe my remark was too severe. These are people who have always supported me, which is why I worry that if they think it was too harsh, perhaps I should reconsider. I appreciate all the comments and support I have received, and even though most agree I am not the jerk, I have decided to continue ignoring Pam and my parents and will not apologize. They have expressed displeasure both on social media and in real life, portraying themselves as victims and disparaging me to other family members. Since I already do not communicate with them, it does not bother me. I consider talking to family members who support me but disagree with my remark. I admitted to them that I spoke in the heat of the moment, but I emphasized that Pam's deliberate attempt to draw attention to herself during my wedding was far worse. 4 years, Pam has been mean and disrespectful to me, and I will not apologize for something that may even be true. Her actions caused far more harm when she spread rumors that led family members to boycott my wedding, unlike my comment, which does not stop her from being pregnant. Those who support me understand this, and I am content to let them avoid the topic. My main priority is having a joyful and healthy pregnancy. I hope the tension between Pam and my parents ends quickly because I do not want to confront them about things they will not like, especially now that I am expecting. In the past 2 weeks, my parents have been playing the victim and telling other family members about what I said. They have pleaded with people to avoid me, never communicate with me again, and even cut me off from relatives who get along with me. Essentially, they want me shunned by the entire family. Their strategy has not worked because I have maintained relationships with those who truly care about me. Frustrated, they posted disparaging comments about me on social media. Initially, I ignored it, but I became upset when they falsely claimed I had destroyed Pam's marriage. I contacted my former brother-in-law, explained the situation, and asked if I could share the truth publicly. After doing so, drama escalated. Family members called, texted, and emailed to ask whether it was true, requested I remove the post, and even accused me of lying about Pam. I have not responded. Pam and my parents have remained remarkably silent, which indicates they have little to defend. Though no one in the family has apologized, that was exactly what I expected. I feel I have successfully exposed Pam for who she truly is, which was my main goal. I have decided to relax and see what happens next. A few days after my last post, Pam and my parents reached out, offering to apologize only if I remove the post. Other family members have not expressed regret, but appear to have communicated with Pam and my parents, criticizing their actions. They told my parents it was unfair to portray me negatively when Pam was responsible for her divorce. My relationships with my parents have suffered because of their deception, and it is remarkable how quickly some relatives went from blaming me to blaming Pam. Still, I do not hold much stock in their opinions. Many have stopped contacting me, no one has asked me to remove the post, and no one seems interested in verifying the truth. I told Pam and my parents I would remove the post when I chose to, and subsequently blocked them. They have not attempted to contact me since. Recently, I decided to remove the post, not for them, but because I do not want my social media cluttered with posts about people who are not important to me. Retaliation is pointless, and I want a pleasant, healthy pregnancy. This is enough consequence for Pam and my parents, because they are who they are. I have family and friends who truly care about me. My spouse and I are content, and I only need that. It no longer matters what my sister or parents are doing. I hope they understand that I do not want to interact with them again, and that they should avoid me. Considering everything that has happened, I doubt they will reach out anytime soon. I am grateful to everyone who has supported me, answered my messages, and given me guidance. It means a great deal.